Hello and welcome to another edition of Tang Soo Do Focus, a podcast concerning all things related to the Korean martial art of Tang Soo Do. My name is Master Steve Padarini, and I will be your host in this episode, which will cover the topic of the 5 codes of Tang Soo Do. So, as I enter my own dojo and many other training spaces I've been in around the country, there are usually several banners or posters or flyers, the student creed, the 7 tenets of Tang Soo Do, the 5 codes of Tang Soo Do, and even something called the 8 key concepts. And if they were important enough to be displayed and unfortunately often overlooked or ignored by many students on the floor, I think it's worth taking a minute going through these concepts and at least touching on each point of them before we get into something more physical that we'll talk about the training aspects of kicking, punching, blocking, and forms, etc. So let's talk about the 5 codes of Tang Soo Do. They are the following: loyalty to country, obedience to parents, honor friendship, no retreat in battle, and in fighting, choose with sense and honor. Now, the 7 tenets are all 1 and in a couple of cases 2 word phrases. These are a little bit longer. They are only 5 though, a little easier to remember if you take the first letter of each phrase. L from loyalty, O from obedience, H from honor friendship, N from no retreat in battle, and I from infighting. You end up with phonetically at least a word, made up word, Lani, Lohni. And that was just another little trick I used to remember the 5 codes. When it comes close to testing time, I review that. Let's dig into these a little bit. Loyalty to country. We had a visitor from Korea, Master Sung-Ki Kim, who's one of the earliest students of Won-Ki, and he spent a good time. We were expecting something about technique or some kind of secrets of the universe about Tang Soo Do, and we all kind of stood there for a good 10 or 15 minutes as the translator spent time expounding on the importance of saluting the flag, which of course we always do at the beginning and end of each training session. But the fact that Master Sung-Ki Kim had a definite emphasis on that made it important to me as well, and it's something I try to instill in my students and my juniors. So loyalty to country is the first of the 5 codes. Obedience to parents, which is a great one to point out to your children that are training. I have elderly parents, and I'm in my 50s, so it seems a little interesting, that obedience part of it. But I think it's worth noting. Obedience to parents. Honor friendship, which I think is a great life goal. Honoring friendship. Without our friends and our family, where would we be? And who do you rely on? You think about, your car breaks down or you have a flat tire somewhere. Who are you going to call to give you a ride? Who are you going to call, late at night to come pick you up or help you get out of a jam? Those would be your friends, and that is definitely something worth honoring. And then the last 2, I think, relate a little bit more to the martial aspect of our martial art. No retreat in battle, which again means, and I think it kind of goes hand in hand with that idea of indomitable spirit, is you just keep on slugging your way through. No retreat in battle. That doesn't mean you're always going to win. It means you're never going to quit. You're never going to give up. And again, my sparring career is full of plenty of losses against opponents where, they may have had their hand raised at the end of the match, but I did not pack it in and stop until the end of the time in our sparring session. So no retreat in battle, and I think that could be applied to many aspects of our life, whether they would be in school, academically, professionally, health-wise, battling some sort of illness or health ailment. No retreat in battle. You got to work your way through these things and persevere. So perseverance, I think, is another good word for that. And then the last one, in fighting, choose with sense and honor, which, part of our student creed, we say, we will never be abusive or offensive, and I will use common sense before self-defense. And I think this is a paraphrase, just another way of saying that in fighting, choose with sense and honor. We're not just going to go out and look for trouble. We're going to only use our martial arts outside of the dojo in a situation where we absolutely have to. And if there's a way that we can defuse a situation or walk away, that would be choosing with sense and honor. But if you were pushed up against a wall or you were defending somebody who was helpless, I think that would be an honorable and a common sense way of using your fighting skills. So those are the 5 codes, and I'm not going to dig too much deeper into them, but again, they're always there on the wall as I train on the other side of the 7 tenets, and I thought I'd spend a minute going over them with you. So I can think of one more poster or banner that we have in the dojo that I see on a regular basis that refers to the 8 key concepts of Tang Soo Do. The first one is courage, and the Korean words are alongside them, and I'm afraid I would butcher the pronunciation, so I'm going to just use the English words for now. So number 1 is courage, which courage could be in battle. Courage could be getting up and giving a presentation at work or in school. Courage could be to, deal with a medical or, some sort of physical ailment. But I think courage is a good concept. Concentration. The name of this podcast is Tang Soo Do Focus, and focus and concentration are very similar concepts. So being able to focus, blot out the distractions around you and keep your mind on what you're doing. That's an important one. Endurance, which we talk about indomitable spirit. We talk about no retreat in battle, and endurance is your ability to endure and to continue on doing things and not quitting. Honesty, number 4. Once again, I think being reliable, being true to your word makes you a better person and makes the people around you respect you more. Number 5, humility, which I believe is one of the 7 tenets as well. So there's something to be said for not getting a big head, not getting too full of yourself, and just taking in stride your accomplishments and never, self-aggrandizing, things like that. Let's see, number 6, control of power. And I think these last 3, again, have more to do with the physical aspects, and one of the reasons I wanted to focus on them. The control of power is important, again, when you're throwing a technique, especially with a training partner. We often encourage, when we're doing techniques, Il Su Sik, Hosen Sul, things like that, you do things with a sense of realism. So if I'm doing Il Su Sik, I'm going to hit or kick the person I'm training with. I'm not going to punch them in the face, but I need to be able to control my power. Whereas if I went full through, I might injure my training partner, and being able to stop right at the edge of contact would be a good example of controlling your power. Number 7, Shinchuk, which we hear a lot about, tension and relaxation. Certainly, you need to have tension when your foot, your hand strikes an object or a person. Otherwise, you'll break your wrist, break your ankle. The technique, all the power that you've generated with your hips and the rest of your limbs will be for naught. However, if you are tense all the time, you're going to lose speed, you're going to wear out quicker. So the ability to quickly go from relaxed state to a tensed state is something that we're always training and working on. And getting the timing right on that is part of our lifelong journey in Tang Soo Do. And then the last key concept would be speed control. And speed control, again, being able to do things slowly. If you've ever done a 4-part kicking drill where you tuck, extend, retract, and then put it back on the ground, and you do that nice and slow, you'll find that that's much more grueling than throwing a regular kick. So speed control, again, I think would go on with control of power so that you are accurate and safe, and when you need to do something like break a board or hit an opponent hard or an attacker and finish a self-defense situation, you definitely have the ability to ramp up the power and speed. But generally speaking, you should be able to do things with proper technique and control, and the speed shall come later, as we like to say. So those are the 8 key concepts. So we've had a creed, we've had tenets, we've had codes, and we've had concepts. Another thing we discuss is the purpose of Tang Soo Do, which comes down to 3 main things. Now, each one of us individually may have a different purpose for training, self-defense, to get back in shape, whatever else our goals are for ourselves or our children. But in specific order, it would be the first purpose of Tang Soo Do is to become a better person, or you could say it to improve one's character. And through all of the activities we do, the struggle, the striving, the working towards goals over a long term, practicing humility and respect to others, I think all those things we've sort of touched on in the past discussions will improve our character and make us a better person. And, I think if you just take anyone off the street, hey, would you like to be a better person? If anybody that says no, what a jerk, right? So I think self-improvement and trying to become a better person for ourselves and for the people around us and to improve the world, that's a laudable purpose. So the first purpose is to become a better person. The second purpose is to improve your health. And of course, it is a physical training, martial arts, and Tang Soo Do particularly. And the stretching, the breathing, the punching, the kicking, all the different physical things that we do are going to give you better cardiovascular health, better muscular health. Just the benefits go beyond that to improving your mood, giving you better, more patience, better mental health overall. As a school teacher, I see lots of cases of depression and anxiety, especially with social media and cell phones. And I think that training in martial arts can be a very good antidote to those unfortunate side effects of our modern society, especially among young people, adolescents in particular. So better health refers to both physical and mental health, and that would be the second purpose of Tang Soo Do. The third purpose would be self-defense. And, we think of martial arts as, fighting, defending, striking, kicking, punching, etc. And you tend to think that's the first. And I like the fact that Kwanjin Bolker has made it the third highest priority, that our character, becoming a better person, is our main priority. Improving our health is our second most important priority. And self-defense is our third priority or purpose of Tang Soo Do. I always, when I'm talking about self-defense techniques, I'm like, we always talk about being attacked by somebody in a dark alley, and I say to my students, well, here's a pro tip. Avoid dark alleys. If we can not put ourselves in a situation where we have to use our self-defense skills and get entangled with somebody else in the physical confrontation, that's the best self-defense, is never being in that situation in the first place. Of course, we don't always have control over what happens in our lives, or where we're going to be at any given time, and if the situation presents itself, boy, it's good to know how to take care of yourself and protect the people around you. But again, we don't want to look for trouble, and we want to try to avoid it. But self-defense is certainly something that gives you a level of self-confidence and just peacefulness and comfort, maybe, as you are in maybe walking out to your car at night, or for whatever reason in somewhat of a sketchy neighborhood or situation, just knowing that if push came to shove, you would have the skills and the knowledge to back things up, I think gives you a great sense of relief and calm and comfort. So self-defense is the third purpose of Tang Soo Do. And one more distinction I like to make about self-defense is, again, I don't go into a lot of dark alleys. I don't go to a lot of seedy bars where I'm likely to get into an altercation. And I've been very fortunate in my life where I've had very few things like that happen. But self-defense, think about that. Defense from yourself. The most likely person to harm me is me. I'm the most likely person to eat too much, to not exercise, to overindulge in some way, to underindulge in some way, to ignore certain things, not take care of my health, put off that doctor's or dentist's appointment. We are our own worst enemies, I think, as human beings. I think it's in our nature to maybe be somewhat self-sabotaging, and I think that Tang Soo Do and martial arts training gives us a level of self-discipline and self-awareness, self-confidence that allows us to maybe make better decisions and do a better job of taking care of ourselves. You think about being on an airplane. They talk about in the event of an emergency and the oxygen masks come down, that if you're traveling with elderly or small children, that you should take care of your mask first before you help them with theirs. And of course, a mother's first instinct would be to take care of their child and put the oxygen mask on their child. But if they pass out because the cabin has depressurized, that mother can then no longer take care of their children and help them and assist them with their masks. So it's kind of a metaphor to me for life in general, is you have to take care of yourself if you're going to be any good to anyone around you. So this idea of self-defense, yes, in an altercation, if you are attacked, can you defend yourself? That would be a purpose of training in a martial art. But more to me, it's in my journey, rather, it has been taking care of myself and defending me from me, who in many ways we can be our own worst enemy, both mentally in our head and physically, the way we take care of or perhaps don't take care of our bodies as well as we could. So the three purposes, again, become a better person, to improve your overall physical and mental health, and to have self-defense. So I'd like to thank you for indulging me as I go through the creed, the code, the tenets, all the rest of these kind of philosophical underpinnings of why we train in Tang Soo Do. In our training, our teachers constantly remind us that our mind is in control of our body, and going into our training with the right mindset and the right philosophy, and at least an awareness of a lot of these concepts, I think will do nothing but improve the physical aspects of your training. Thank you for listening to episode number 5 of the Tang Soo Do Focus podcast, talking about the 5 codes of Tang Soo Do, but also touching on the 8 key concepts of Tang Soo Do and a bit of the 3 purposes. I would like you to please subscribe, like, and do take a moment to tell people about this podcast if it means something to you or you think it has any benefit. Share it with other people you know that might benefit from it. And not just students and people that train, parents of children who are training. This might give them better insight into what's going on while their child is on the floor. Spouses or relatives of people that train, sometimes they think we're almost cult-like in our devotion to Tang Soo Do and the way we talk about it sometimes. And this might just give them a little bit better understanding of what's going on. And who knows, maybe it would inspire them to start their own Tang Soo Do training journey. So like, subscribe, and please, word of mouth may be the best way to get this podcast into the ears of as many people as possible who might benefit from it. So thank you for your kind attention, and Tang Soo.